live on 6135 Grove Road. Just a couple of questions regarding the potential development of this event center. Has the council or any other associated member analyzed like traffic patterns, anything like that in this area? The way the road kind of snakes down through there, there's, in my eyes, a little bit of risk that's involved with that and some concern with the local community. We've already established that this gentleman is not from the community and really doesn't have any dealings, daily traffic through the community, things like that. And then the second question was with, there's been a lot of talk about, it being an event center, alcoholic beverages being served, things like that. Is the community going to accept that risk? I know that my wife and 3 sons travel these roads all day long, so there's just some things to think about with that. And I know we like to think that, all adults here and, people obey the law and things like that, but we all live in reality as well, so we know that things do happen. It just opens our community up to, and not only our community, people that may be traveling through. Is that risk? Are we willing to assume that risk in this area?
I'll take the one.
Yeah, so
I had some questions I was going to ask as well. One of them was regarding the traffic. Has there been a traffic study, a trip generation study, anything like that, that shows what they could expect for loading on the street during times of events leaving, starting, so on like that? And then the second question I had is, I already mentioned the balance of the land is just going to be left as the field and stuff. Are there plans for stuff down the road, 5-10 years down the road, where you may add additional amenities and stuff here or services or anything along those lines?
To answer the question of the traffic pattern, we have not done a traffic pattern study. One of the questions that will come up is about potentially having the speed limit slow down in that area, just to abundance of caution. So.
I mean, just thinking, I think there should be, if nothing else, like a turn lane or something in that area if there's room for it, just for safety purposes. I mean, you're going to have all these people coming to this event, and if you had some place to get them out of the normal rite of passage for a safe, ingress to the property.
It's about a 30-foot driveway in front there.
Yeah, the driveway has nothing to do with that. I'm talking about on Center Road turning into the location.
You need the street widened then?
I don't know. That's something I would expect engineers or something to look at. It's just traffic safety getting into the event center.
Mr. Powell, if I may, real quick, during one of the zoning things, the city engineer said that the Center Road, as is set up now, with sight lines and everything, does meet state of Ohio guidelines for the entrance here and the curves and stuff on Center Road. So it currently meets the state of Ohio guideline.
I can agree, but that's the minimums. So I was just asking if we look at any of that stuff. I know that you were saying this the city engineer, but maybe just something else for some further conversation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just want to share.
And then to address your other question about other plans, there's no future plans to build anything else at that location.
A comment on the traffic. I know that originally when this was first talked about, some of the discussion that was had was that the visibility for people coming out of it would be hard because coming out of Cayman Drive is challenging. And again, not a proponent or anything. This is being brought to us. This isn't us selling this. We're asking questions just like you. One of the points that was made was that when you're coming from the north, you actually have a broad perspective because the road kind of angles, well, straight this way and then kind of angles that way. Whereas when you're coming off of Cayman, it's a round back. So the fear of people coming out of there not being able to see was surprisingly better than Cayman Drive. With regard to the alcohol, has there been a discussion about requiring a police officer anytime alcohol is served? And I don't know if the city has it. We already have that requirement in the city? Okay. All right.
That was our understanding. Yeah,
Okay.
That was a requirement.
I know that's quite common. I just didn't know whether it was actually a requirement or just a suggestion.
And it would be an off-duty.
Right.
We always hired a friend of police officers, but it would be no off-duty.
Right.
Right. In our expense.
Similar to what happens at the Tudor House.
Right.
Any other public comments?
If I may, I just want to go on record. I received an email which was forwarded out to council back on February 26th from a resident over on Ferndale who's been there since 1990. Not giving me permission to disclose your name or not disclose your name, but just want to reiterate that they had concerns. A lot of them were expressed tonight, the traffic, the noise, those type of things. They looked down over that piece of property. So whatever you can do to make sure that these things aren't happening and that they're monitored somehow. Maybe that tree line needs to be put up. Maybe you need to put a 5 or 6 foot mound in there and put your vegetation on top of that. That would keep people from walking through the vegetation. If you're out there partying, I don't want to get your big clothes messed up by climbing up a dirt hill. So maybe we can address those type of things and make sure that the noise and things are taken care of.
And I would support the concept of a fence, honestly. If possible, I think that would be, depending on what, what it is. If it's real thick woods and hard to walk through, but if it's just a set of shrubs, I think that might be Terry.
Terry Persice, work here at 438 Center. Some of the conditional uses have a 3-year renewal requirement when you look back and see what has gone on and see if the conditional use conditions are being met and if any additional ones might need to be added. This seems like a good one to add that as a condition.
Barry, was that discussed at all, any kind of a renewal process?
From my memory, they did not discuss any type of review, but I agree with Terry that a 3-year thing is fair to revisit it to see if we accumulate any problems over that 3-year period, that we have the right to re-examine it.
One of the reasons we're not acting on this tonight is because council, we have this written recommendation that came, and council has the ability to make some modifications to that, and that may be one of the modifications that we discuss, especially since the administrator seems to have recommended it. Thank you.
Would it be helpful to read the conditions?
Sure, you guys, I'll read these off. This is a public document if anybody wants it, but I'll go ahead and I'll read it. Please be advised, the City of New Franklin Planning and Zoning Commission has unanimously approved the following recommendation to approve with conditions, in quotes, the conditional use application for a proposed event facility on behalf of the Sword Farm LLC located at 365 Center Road, New Franklin. This is the agreed upon conditions by the City of New Franklin Planning and Zoning Commission are as follows. 1. Final applications, reviews, inspections, permits, and certificates as required by the City of New Franklin Fire Department and Summit County Building Standards Department, inclusive of maximum occupancy restrictions. 2. A fence or barrier shall be installed to ensure security and privacy for adjoining residents' properties. 3. The driveway and parking lots shall be paved per zoning code regulations. 4. Wedding ceremonies are permitted to occur outside of the barn. However, all celebration activities shall be limited to the interior of the barn. 5. All sound amplification, music, shall be contained within the interior of the barn. 6. A special event permit shall be required from the city for any outdoor activities other than outdoor wedding ceremonies. 7. A special event permit shall be required for anything held on the property other than celebrations such as weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, meetings, retreats, or corporate events. 8. The city engineer shall conduct a final review and final approval of the event facility site plans, inclusive but not limited to stormwater management, utilities, paving, lighting, fencing, and signage.
I have a question. This does not mention anything about the traffic study, and I know this would include it, but I would be very careful about where they come out on the South Main and Center Road. Those are going to be very difficult areas.
Farther away from.
Yeah, I know it's going to be difficult at your areas, But when you get further away, it's gonna be even harder to get out on South Main for any of us that have traveled there. And Center sometimes is a nightmare right there in the river.
And most people go north
Uh-huh.
level.
So that would be something in the traffic study, I'm sure they would include.
Comment? Sorry.
Good evening. My name is Matt Sickey. I live at 5242 Cable Drive. About the time the property was purchased, I retired after 24 years in the Navy, and I bought this home due to it being in a great area. I grew up in Kenmore. I wanted to come back home. Bought a house on a dead-end road that's quiet and a great neighborhood. And, within a couple years of living here already, in my retirement home, my dream home, now we're starting to put some businesses, and maybe it's only one, maybe it's not. I suffer from things, as many do, going to war and coming home. And although not anybody else's problem, I manage it, the best I can, but, this just adds to the anxiety, to the angst, to everything else going on around here. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way, but it's up to you guys to take that into consideration as we move forward.
Thank you.
I'm Jessica Walker, 5242. So, as he said, he has severe post-traumatic stress disorder, loud noises, stuff like that. He never sleeps. This is somebody who fought for our country. I don't know how we're going to continue noise. It's a big concern of mine, along with, I think, other people's, but his is pretty bad. A lot of noises just scare him to death, to where, if you haven't seen it, you don't know what it's like. But I know that he feels safe in this home now, and that's why he purchased it, and this is making him feel unsafe. And that's not fair for somebody who's fought for our country for so long. Also, I have kids that are getting ready to drive. On Friday and Saturday night, I'm going to have to be worried about drunk drivers leaving, as it's hard enough to leave on Kalen Drive, right? I'm going to have new people driving, my daughter, his son, and I don't know if they're going to be safe. You can't promise me that people aren't going to be there on Friday and Saturday night and not be drunk. So Kalen Drive is hard enough to pull out of. And I have to entrust my 16-year-old daughter with all these people. And I get it can happen anywhere. But when you're talking about 200 people in this small little area that we're going to have to fight against, it's just not a good idea. And when you make your decision, you have to think about people who deal with stuff like this and mental illness and how you're going to control it. Because worst case scenario, what is he going to have to do? Move again after he's moved for 24 years fighting for us? That's all I have.
Anyone else?
Do you have any experience in developing properties, the background?
First off, thank you for serving our country, and I really.
That's not why I said it.
I don't understand that, but it is admirable, and there is a 3-year window on this, so we're putting a major investment in this. So whatever we do, we have to be conscious of the community, because fast forward in 3 years, if we're not a good neighbor today, it's going to come back, and rightfully so, you're not going to be supportive of us in 3 years. So, we're very conscious of that. We appreciate your time, and we're going to be conscious. We want to make it work because we recognize that in 3 years it could go. So, we have to be conscious.
I think one of the things to take into consideration is while we appreciate you saying you want to be good neighbors, you don't control what's going on there, especially being in Independence, and that's not a dig at you. My point is that you're not going to be there controlling the situation. So I appreciate you wanting to be a good neighbor, however, it's kind of out of your hands.
It's our responsibility to answer, but we've developed historic buildings. I did not run an event center. I am not going to run this event center. We're going to have a third-party company that manages, that currently owns an event center, is going to manage it. And then, for example, we'll have penalties in place so that if somebody uses that wedding venue and if they do something that's not appropriate for sound, what have you, there'll be financial penalties in that. So there'll be some penalties in place. So it's not gonna be like a slap of a hand if somebody does something to upset you or other neighbors. I mean, it's
So
gonna
there's a
be.
penalty that perhaps, like for those people, but it's mental health for
I understand
That
that, but
it's
it's,
two different
but my point is, we're trying to do things and have mechanisms in place to prevent issues from happening, so. But to answer your question, Councilman, is, this building is listed on the National Register as historic buildings. We've been developed, I think, 6 different projects with historic tax credits. Never developed a barn, we've never developed a farmhouse, but we've renovated other properties in the standards of the National Register.
In here in Northeast Long Island?
In Cleveland, yes, in Cleveland, Ohio, yes.
Do you know the managing company would be yet?
I'm sorry.
Do you know if the managing company would be of the property yet?
We haven't finalized our agreement with it. It will be the company that we're currently working with as currently owns the event center that they operate. They would manage this and be a partner so far within the operation of the event center.
What would your hours of operation be? What would be the latest that anything would be going on in this center? Because once again, in the neighborhoods, I think we want to be aware of times and stuff like that.
I mean, we'll be conscious of the current laws and, that's in place with New Franklin. So I'm not sure offhand what those are and stuff, but it's, I would imagine it would be, no different than with the Tudor house, and that's what their hours.
I know they shut down at 9 o'clock, Paul?
And
10.
On Saturday, Saturday, 9 o'clock during the week.
Is that an ordinance or is that just because the city's involved?
That's, no, that's not an ordinance.
Okay.
Yes.
So he says he wants to follow what the city does, not necessarily to.
So is that something that can be included in the conditional, Larry? Like hours of operation?
Yes, that can be that. And we do have a city noise ordinance enforced by the police.
Yeah, that starts at 10.
Yeah, 10 to 6, I think it is. That's a different ordinance. But yeah, that could be added as a condition.
I have a feeling we're gonna wanna
Right.
make some additions. This is the first one of these I've done as council president, so excuse me for having to ask some questions. I believe we can continue this hearing, or do we just make that, you think continuing it makes the most sense?
Well, yeah, from the standpoint that at some point you're gonna have to take some action.
Correct.
Then what, we got
We have 90 days to take action, but then we'd have a couple weeks to get some language drawn up to add. Now, let me make sure the board all understands that if we make any changes to this, if we just approve it, it just requires 50% vote. If we make any changes or deny this, it requires 2/3 majority vote.
I have one more question. Go ahead, Paul.
But, well, no, I think it's the 2/3 only comes into play if you,
Deny it?
if you deny it.
One other
You
question.
can either adopt or deny, or adopt some modifications, all by simple majority.
Okay.
One other question that I just thought of is, if you guys are having a managing company operate the location, will there be somebody there from the managing company at all times of operation?
During the events, yes.
Okay, so that it won't be that they get keys and don't come and set up. So there'll be a responsible person that can make changes and on site at all times.
In addition to the off-duty police officer, but there will be some point of contact that would be, representative of the ownership that would be on site during events.
Okay. To make immediate corrections.
Yes.
Okay.
And have you talked to any locally operated event companies?
Not in New Franklin. The company that we're talking to is in Highland County, but not in New Franklin.
You said that you had rehabbed several buildings.
Correct.
Do you own any of those?
Yes.
And what services are in those businesses? What type of business?
Apartments.
They're all apartment homes?
Apartments, yes.
Any other comments? Sounds like we're going to continue this, so that'll give us an opportunity to kind of figure out how we're going to work. How we're going to word our language, we'll probably have to talk to the law director, and obviously Barry will be involved in that process.
You want to specify The date when?
Yeah, let's, 2 weeks should be enough, right? So I'd say we'll continue this to the next meeting, which is, pardon me, April 17th, 6 PM. Any further comments before I close the meeting? All right, public hearing is now adjourned. Before we go on to the committee meetings and council meeting, we have a citizen of the month among us. If we get him back in the room here. So I would like to introduce you to Jacob Kotz. Jacob Kotz noticed his neighbor's garage at 552 Hyman Avenue was on fire the evening of November 16, 2023. He ran and told his father so that they could call 911. Jacob and his father, Councilman Kotz, ran to the neighbor's house because he was inside and wasn't even aware of the fire. They were able to get him out safely while they waited for the fire department to arrive. Many fire departments, in addition to New Franklin, were called to be sure this didn't spread to other homes. Without Jacob noticing and acting right away, the fire could have been so much worse and spread to other homes. The neighbor's garage, deck, and side room of the home were a total loss, but the main house was saved, as well as the occupant's life. The fire was so hot that it also melted siding from another neighbor's garage, and there was damage to the side of Jacob's house as well. Jacob was a hero that night for taking action, and I would like to nominate, or he's been nominated for the Citizen of the Month. This certificate recognizes Jacob Kotz for your continued effort in civic engagement that has made the city of New Franklin a better place to live and call home. Thank you very much, Jacob.
Yeah, I want to say, well, I know Mr. Kotz was there, I know Jacob was there, I was there that night, it was not far from my house. And the flames it was an incredible sight. I gained new respect for fire service. Those flames were 40, 50 feet high, weren't they? It was incredible, and he saved a lot of property and a lot of lives that night, so we're so proud of him.
Now we move on to committee. So before a regular council meeting begins, we have committee meetings. These are slightly less formal than the actual meeting, so if anyone from the public would like to make comments during the committee meeting, you're welcome to. We ask you to keep them brief, and it's up to the committee chair of that committee to decide the meeting. After the committee meetings are all over, we'll begin the regular meeting with the pledge of allegiance, and there will be 2 opportunities for the public to speak during the regular meeting. So the first committee is going to be Mr. Powell, Public Utilities.
All right, I'd like to open the Public Utilities Committee meeting at 6:51. This is Resolution 24R27, a resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with OHM Advisors for municipal separate storm sewer systems and thus for compliance and declaring an emergency. This is a regulatory report that's due annually. It basically deals with all your stormwater discharges and how you're handling that. It's a routine item. Any questions, comments, concerns on this?
Do we generally have a $5,000 retainer with this? There's a retainer on the,
On the report, on the.
this is my first time doing this, I don't know if it's something that normally is in there. Look on page, this is page 3, talks about the cost, and task number 4 is $5,000. I believe that's a retainer. Above task number 4 will be performed only upon request.
Yeah.
And do we normally put a retainer out for this? Is that common practice?
I think he's reading.
I think it's being read, Paul, as it's written as minimum control measure assistance if authorized. And there's an amount there for 5,000. That's number 4 on,
No, I'm with you.
okay.
No, we do, I don't think we've ever worked with a retainer before. Obviously, I mean, as you can see, this is an optional service if we wanted to take advantage of it. So I suppose we would have to negotiate that down if we chose. In other words, if they insisted on a retainer, then we just wouldn't exercise that option. I'm not sure why that language is in there, but we're not bound by it. So we can clean it up if we need to. And I have no question that we would clean it up. We've got a long relationship with Josh Slaga, who's the point person on this. And I have 100% confidence that it wouldn't be an issue if in fact we decided that we wanted to utilize Task 4, public education outreach, public involvement. First of all, I really doubt seriously we'll ever use any of those options. But if in the event that we do, I can assure you that we won't work on a retainer. We'll work on an outlay.
This resolution just authorizes city.
Region up to amount. One of the things I'd like to mention is, would there be an appetite to entertain maybe doing this in-house, not this year, next year? And I can give you guys a bunch of resources that's easily accessible to do it. And maybe what I'd suggest is, probably through the year, maybe this summer, bring you some of those resources, you can look at it, digest it, and see if it's something you guys want to take on in-house. A lot of the public education, you can do it simple events like any of the stuff we did at the Tudor House, the Toucher Truck, any of these things. We can get some stormwater brochures printed out, invite Summit Soil and Water to attend the Touch. So those things get you a lot of points towards meeting your educational portion of it.
I'm open.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be a question of who.
Right.
But then obviously it's not something that we want to be casual with.
No.
Take it in-house and suddenly not meet the.
Like I said, I get doing this now, but just as an exercise, we look at what it would take to do ours, give you some resources, and then if it's something you guys feel comfortable with, maybe we do that at a later time.
Oh, I'm open to that.
Okay.
Sure.
Is it something you would do, Kevin?
The gentleman in my office takes care of it.
Okay.
He lives in New Franklin as well. Any other comments, questions? You guys?
I guess I'm new and confused. So if we pass this, are we passing it at the $13,600, which is written here, or will we be looking at?
That'd be a not to exceed price.
Being not to 6.
We're not spending the 13,000, we're just authorizing the administration.
He actually records not to exceed. I think that's the cover of it.
There you go.
All right. You guys okay with waiving the 3?
Are you comfortable?
I'm not talking about retainers as a general purpose. If it's a not to exceed price, and we're not cutting a check for that $5,000 and giving it to them right away, I'm okay with that.
All right, so if we're okay with waiving the 3, I'd like to close the.
No, you got one more, you got the.
Another one of them. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. Next one's going to be 24R17. This is a resolution establishing a temporary moratorium on the establishment of adult use cannabis operators, the issuance of zoning permits, or any other permits for the building structure use or change of use that would enable the cultivation, processing, or retail sale of recreational marijuana and declare an emergency. I know we've had some discussion back and forth on this. There's nothing in place right now that we even know what we're banning, I guess is essentially. I'd just like to ask your guys' thoughts. What are your guys' thoughts on just postponing this to later this summer when there'll most likely be stuff out there and we know what we're
I think that number would be better. I feel comfortable with that. How about you, Jim?
I'd rather see this just withdrawn, and then as the state gets into the rules, we can write a better moratorium if necessary, that's more specific to what the rules of the state are at that time. That'd be my thought.
Either one you guys want to do, I'm okay with.
Yeah, I'm fine either way. I'm fine either postponing this, table it till a date certain, like say August 21st, or withdrawing. Either way, I'm fine. It still is the same end result, where we wouldn't act on anything until, once we know what we're acting on. I just think it's premature.
Yeah, either way, it's fine. I just think that if we withdraw it, then when it comes time, we can write it that's more specific as opposed to amending what this is. We can write it on this.
I just think it's premature to act on something we don't even know we're acting on.
The advantage to leaving it and tabling it, not that this is a big advantage, but the advantage would be that it doesn't have to be proposed again. So that at least it's there, it would automatically come up on the agenda if we pick that date of August 21st, and then it would automatically be there. That's the only advantage that I can see of tabling it versus withdrawing. What's everybody else think?
I think we should table it so we have to go over it again.
Table?
Okay. So I'll make a motion, once we get to that point, to table this to date of August 21st.
Sounds good.
So, all right, thank you.
And I'd like to close the Public Utilities Committee meeting at 6:58.
All right, next committee is Community Development, Mr. Schaefer.
I'd like to open up community development at 6:58. Resolution 24-R-28 is brought before the Community Development Committee. A resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with A&R Electric LLC for exterior property lighting for the Tudor House seawall project and declaring an emergency. Mr. Adams, you want to fill us in on how the grant works here? And
Yes. Yeah, this was part of we're coming to the tail end of the $300,000 capital grant that we received for improvements at the Tudor House. This is we're really at the final stages. This is for lighting. There'll be lighting along the path at the seawall. There's also be some lighting in the front of the house as well. We sent out proposals for this. This is the second time. The first time we sent out the proposals, we had the contractors providing the lights, and the numbers came in really high. We knew what we were working with in terms of a balance of that $300,000. And I had indicated earlier to council that the balance was in the range of $9,000. It would be in the range of $9,000 after this payment in the event that you approve this. Actually, it's going to be a little lower than that. It'll be about $4,900, just a little bit under $5,000. There were $4,000 of billings that came in from Cheeser Buckley, the engineers, on this, and those are compensable as well. So if this is approved, we'll have a balance of $4,900 of that $300,000. So all of the expenses will be paid. It's a reimbursement grant. Will be reimbursed to us from the city. So what we did, we broke out the lighting and got some pricing and purchased the lighting separately. And the lighting we were able to purchase for about $9,800. You can see one of the bids still came in pretty high. Zenith was at $87,000, Tolman was at $38,900, and A&R, and I'm advised by our service director, that's a local company, a local resident who owns that property. So if this is approved, and the lighting has been, I don't know if the lighting is in yet, but when it is, this should all be up in time for the season.
my understanding is there's no work that's required by our service department.
There is not.
They're going to be using some of the existing conduit and things that are already in place over there.
Yes.
Otherwise, it costs more money. Any other questions, comments?
If I recall, when we first got this grant, we were looking at basically getting a seawall done. And the seawall came in at such a great price that we've been able to use this money for not just the seawall, but we're putting the docks are going in. the lighting is there. The whole front of the Tudor house has really, the water side has changed, and it looks fantastic. So we got this $300,000 grant, and you and the Tudor house really used the money wisely, and we're able to do a lot more with it than what we thought we'd be able to do when this first happened. So thank you, congratulations.
Appreciate that.
I'd like to make one more comment on that, and that is that I don't know the exact numbers, but as I understand it, there was a quote prior to this grant, prior to Mason's Cove taking this over and it becoming a public-private partnership, close to $1 million to do this.
Yeah.
And here we are, we did it with zero cost to the city, and $300,000 of state funds. So it's a great example of how public-private partnerships work.
Any other comments? So everybody's good with waiving the fee? All right, Mr. Cox.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is resolution, excuse me, 24R29. A resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into agreement with Acoustical Services Incorporated for sound barriers for the Tudor House lakefront patio and declaring an emergency. And this would be for sound walls, buffering system at a price of $13,070.82. And the Mason's Cove of the Tudor House has agreed to reimburse the city half of that cost. We all received an email from a citizen earlier today that is unable to attend the meeting and has asked that we take time on this until next meeting so that they could be here for that to provide their comments and concerns. Does anybody have any questions or comments about this resolution? Okay, well then we'll just ask for time on this and we'll discuss it then when the other parties are here, if that's okay.
Got one more, Barry.
I think this is.
So I'm going to do this. It's a second reading, and it's a resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with Meyer Design, Inc. for an arch swing set for Grill Park and declaring an emergency.
And we're going to withdraw that. One of our astute Parks Commission members, actually that's where it started for us, noticed that there was, what we were trying to achieve over there was to add what they call a team swing. Am I using the right, do I get the right one there, Mr. Cotson?
Sure.
That was good, okay, good, thank you. Anyway, and the price went up from $10,000 to $13,000, but when we were talking to the Parks Commission about that, Steve Giacomo said, well, wait a minute, it looks like they cut two of the swings out, we don't get it, and so we've gotten new pricing on this, and we're reaching out to the other two vendors that we talked to try to get specifically what Parks would like to see over there, which would actually there'd be 4 bucket swings, there's a toddler swing, there's an ADA swing, and then there's a team swing, and there'll be a whole separate station for the team swing, which is more permanent, so we're probably gonna be in, well, we already got the one estimate in, it's around $18,000. We'll see what the pricing comes in from the others, and then I'll probably wait and go ahead and take this to the Parks Commission again and see what they want to do, and then come back to you with a recommendation and a new resolution.
Do we have plans to get this in for summer?
Yeah,
That means we gotta.
yes, we can, I mean, the pavilion, we really want to have that up when baseball season started. The swings, we want to get them up there as soon as we can, and I think we're seeing 6 to 8 weeks delivery time on these, so it's going to be, it'll be June, but at least we'll get them in.
June is summer.
That is something.
So since he's I'll close the committee meeting, or do you want?
Go ahead, Mr.
Okay.
We're going to close the Community Development Committee at 7:06 p.m.
All right. Do any other committee chairs have anything else tonight? All right, hearing none, I'll call to order the regular meeting of the City of New Franklin for April 3rd. Pledge of allegiance.
Time.
Time at 7:07.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice Kelly, can you call the roll?
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Schaefer?
Here.
Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Daniels?
Here.
Mr. Powell?
Present.
Mr. Wolf?
Present.
Mr. Almond?
Present.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from regularly scheduled meeting from March 20th, 2024. First and second, any discussion? Kelly, call the roll.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Motion passes. Now is time for our first public comment. We ask you to keep public comments down to 4 minutes, and you must state your name and your address before you speak. I thought we were going to have a lot. All right, hearing none, we go on to the first reading, Resolution 24R27. Kelly?
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with OHM Advisors for the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, MS4, compliance and declaring an emergency.
This resolution was assigned to the Public Utilities Committee. I'd like to make a motion to waive the three.
Second.
We have a first and a second, any discussion? Kelly?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt 24R27.
Second.
First and a second, any discussion? Kelly?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, we have Resolution 24R28.
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with A&R Electric LLC for exterior property lighting for the Tudor House seawall project and declaring an emergency.
This resolution was brought forth in front of the Community Development Committee, and I'd like to make a motion to waive the three.
Second.
First and a second, any discussion? Kelly?
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
And I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 24R-28.
Second.
Have a first and a second, any discussion? Kelly?
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Motion passes. Resolution 24R29.
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with Acoustical Services Incorporated for sound barriers for the Tudor House lakefront patio and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is assigned to the Community Development Committee, and we've asked for time on Resolution 24R29.
Time is requested, time is granted. Oops, sorry. Second reading, Resolution 24R25.
A resolution authorizing New Franklin to enter into an agreement with Meyer Design Incorporated for an arch swing set for Grill Park and declaring an emergency.
This came to the Community Development Committee, and the mayor has asked to withdraw this.
Withdrawal requested, withdrawal granted. I don't know if I have to say that part or not, but I did. All right, our third reading, Resolution 24R17.
A resolution establishing a temporary moratorium on the establishment of adult use cannabis operators and the issuance of zoning permits or any other permits for the building, structure, use, or change of use that would enable the cultivation, processing, or retail sale of recreational marijuana and declaring an emergency.
This resolution was assigned to the Public Utilities Committee. I'd like to make a motion to table to a date certain of August 21st, 2024.
Second. We have a first and a second, any discussion? Kelly, call the roll.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Motion passes. That's it for the legislation. We go on to the mayor's report. Your favorite part.
Thank you. I thought you were going to leave that out. No, I appreciate it.
Change the order on that.
All right. Well, the Easter egg hunt The Easter Bunny showed up, it was a huge success, and we want to thank the Portage Lakes Kiwanis once again for, making that happen, and the council folks and the city folks who were there in support. So another good day was had by all the little egg hunters. Thursday, May 2nd, please mark your calendars. I'll send something out to you probably tomorrow. That is the Kiwanis, Norton Kiwanis National Day of Prayer breakfast. And it's a really nice event. It starts at 7 o'clock and ends by 8:30. I'll give you the church location. I don't think I wrote that in, maybe I write it. So we'll send out, I'll send something out to you and ask you, let's see, yes, it is going to be at Johnson's Methodist Church. So they're rotated among the churches out there. So that's Thursday, May 2nd. I'll send something out to you, and if you're available, great, and we'll book a table, and we have a really nice group turnout. It's good to have a good show from the city out there. We get all our department heads in there, and seconds that can come as well. So it's a really nice event.
It is a nice event. Did you say 7:30 in the morning?
7. Starts at 7. And they promise you to be out the door by 8:30, and they do. All right, you may have seen we're happy to have been the recipients of a $40,000 planning grant from AMATS, the Connecting Communities grant. There were only 2 awarded, and we were one of them. And specifically for some advanced planning on State Route 619 in anticipation of what is to come, may come, with infrastructure, et cetera. The provisions of that, AMATS selects the consultant. They'll select the engineer, but they'll do that in conjunction with us. They'll send out a request for proposal, and then we'll have the opportunity for input as to who that consultant's going to be. The intention is to put together a project team from New Franklin of some local stakeholders. I've already approached Mr. Schaefer, since he's vested over there and as a council person, but maybe we'll get a couple council people. I've talked already to 1 or 2 property owners over there, business owners on that stretch, and I think that those are the folks we want to hear from. And the idea of this only planning, but it's a really, really good first step in the event we're able to do things over there in the future, sidewalks, streetlights, bike lanes, those types of things that really would be attractive in that area of the city. Having been selected for this grant gives us a leg up when we go after future grants, AMATS money, federal money, to actually fund those projects in the event we decide to go forward with any of those projects. So this is not only saves us $40,000, but it gives us a little leg up when we're going to go chase the next level of money. So very happy about that. We appreciate, I've extended our appreciation to the folks at AMATS. I just got it, and sent you the Towpath Connector feasibility study. That also was conducted with grant money from the Ohio and Erie Canal Coalition. It's been talked about for a long time. There's plans sitting in my office from 2010 when they first looked at this to try to do, and you see this is happening all over the county actually, trying to connect areas of recreation areas, one with the other. The master plan would actually connect Nemassilla Reservoir with the Portage Lakes State Park, and then with the Ohio and Erie Canalway towpath. That feasibility study has been done. We had a project team for that. Some of you folks were on this project team. We have residents from the area. The recommendation from the project team among the options was for a separate path. And so they put together plans for that. It will be a slow process from here. The next step, we are eligible now to make application for the 2024 Strategic Initiatives Program, which opens the door to potential future funding for that project. I'll follow through with that application process. It doesn't commit us to anything. I've already talked with Dan Rice, who is basically the chair of the Trailways, and he knows this is a multi-year project. This is something that, if it happens, it'll happen a few years down the road. So what I'd like to do is get a meeting together sometime maybe later in April or in May, and get our project team together, but have a public meeting and talk about this. And see if there's any, is this something the city's interested in? I believe that it conforms with some of the input that we got from the comprehensive plan. I believe that there's an economic benefit, that ultimately people who are on that trail down there would then be attracted to come up here, go to the state park, and come to some of our businesses on 93, become patrons. And I also think it potentially would be an attractive piece for some senior residential development, to connect really two major assets that we have that people that are retired and can still get around that would be interested in. So I think there's value in it, at least having that discussion. But we certainly want to have the community on board before we start chasing them around. So I'll follow through with you on that, and then maybe we'll try to get something together. We've got a lot on our plate right now, but with public meetings, but maybe we'll try to get something together maybe in early May and start having that discussion. Does that make sense? All right. And let me see, the eclipse is going to happen. We don't know if it's going to be overcast, whether it isn't, but it's going to happen no matter what. Our police and fire will overlap in shifts. I think we're in good shape in that regard. We really don't know what to expect in terms of population out here. And from what people seem to know, it appears the weather will dictate that to a large degree. And the simplest way it's been explained to me, if it's raining in Cleveland and we got sunny skies in New Franklin, we're going to see some visitors. Okay, it's going to be a day out of event. Okay, the Portage Lake State Park has advertised that they're available for viewing. So if the people come, that's likely where they're going to come. We understand that, and we're prepared for that. As a city, but internally here, all of our police and fire, all our safety forces will be, and service departments will all be available. Our office staff, I'm going to have them go home at half a day, either work from home or take vacation days or whatever, to cover that, so that they don't get stuck in traffic, because if somehow we got a monster group out here at the Portage Lake State Park at about 3:45, it's going to be busy. Hey, it's an exciting event. We have glasses left. We still have glasses. We got some here. So if you don't have your glasses, grab some. And they're still available. I don't think we'll run out. We'll come close. We've given away quite a few. There's been a lot of interest in it, so we're really happy about that. I am sorry to report there will not be an eclipse canopy. That's not going to happen. But
did you see the beacon today?
I did. Yeah. Somebody came off to it. So we had some fun. That's all I got.
Thank you. With regard to the trail, I briefly glanced at it. It's a large document. I'm glad to hear you were involved in that.
Be part of that. Yeah, I appreciate that.
During the comprehensive plan, it's a controversial topic, and again, one that requires a lot of public input because it's controversial. I was surprised at the number of people that mentioned that on the survey as a want.
Yeah.
It was surprising to me. I thought it would be strongly opposed, and it wasn't. So. We move on to the finance report. Ms. Cook?
Just a couple things. Obviously, this class is right here, so please, if you need any, take some. Also, as you know, because I talked to you, the newest members got some of our spreadsheets that we use, a copy of our spreadsheet that we use for budgeting, so it kind of gives them some notes and a little more information about the process that they were not a part of since they weren't in their seats at that time. So please, if you have any questions, please ask, and hopefully that you'll be able to be a part of it this year, because it's not what you expect, because really the groups all get together and everybody brings in their information and we basically hash it out, which is it. We just figure out, we know what our expenses are going to be for certain things, but then they tell us what their needs are and we work out ways to make that happen. So I hope that'll help. Lastly, I gave you a just a kind of a screenshot. That's why it looks funny. It's just a snapshot of one of the screens for ClearGov, which is what I'm working on. It's going to be hopefully on the finance page, but basically it gives general finance information and general information about New Franklin. For example, this page, the original one, it gives like the population, the median housing and income and things of that nature, as well as the farther you get in it, it will give you specific information. For example, there'll be an area where you can put in your annual tax budget, and it'll tell you how much of it is actually paid to New Franklin. And there also will be parts of it that go into specifics about the revenue and expenses of the city. So it should be in a more palatable format that you don't have to do rocket scientists to figure out how to use it and what to find, how to find things, and feel more comfortable with the information and having it at your fingertips. So I'm working on putting it. I've given them the information. They're building it. I'm helping them create the pages that are going to be on it. So that's the work underway this month as far as everything else that has to be done. But hopefully by the end of the month, we'll have it up and get started, and there will be areas that we can add to it as we go along. And hopefully people will find that it's a good resource for them. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Old business? No? Really? All right. Well, I've got some old business. The city of New Franklin suffered some losses in the past week. A couple of rock stars. One of them, if anybody is familiar with the band The Doors, and the local group cover band Morrison Hotel, the lead singer Ron Speck, who was a graduate of Manchester High, I think 77, I believe, passed away this week. And another rock star of a little bit of a different term, a fellow named Bob Lockhart, passed away this past week, I believe 92 years old. Mr. Lockhart was a trustee for 25 years, and anybody who dealt with him, he was also the first mayor of the village of New Franklin before the merger. I was pretty involved during those couple of years that stuff was going on, and I thought it was kind of neat that his obituary said he was the son of an Irish immigrant, and he developed a headstrong personality. And anybody that dealt with Bob would understand that's quite accurate. So a pretty big loss. It was also really nice for me to note, as the chair of the Manchester Education Foundation, that if look at his obituary, he says, they say, in lieu of flowers, to send a donation to the Manchester Education Foundation. So much gratitude to the family for that, and the students of Manchester appreciate that. That's all I have. Anybody else have any old business? New business?
The new business nomination forms online, thanks to Katie, the administration helped put that on the website. I know, I'm trying to look at the website mentally in my head, it's under the how do I, and a nomination subsection with the Citizen of the Month, that you can now nominate businesses in New Franklin for that as well. Please send them our way, we'd love to see it.
All right. Any other new business? Last opportunity for public comment. We ask that this be about issues raised at tonight's meeting. Hearing none. We want to do an executive session. So I think we have time. We're going to go ahead and go into an executive session to discuss compensation of public employees. No decisions will be made at this meeting, and we have to do a roll call to go into executive session. Kelly? Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Almond?
Yes.
Again, no decisions will be made.